everyone. Welcome to the Paul Cervizzi Show. We are honored and blessed to have our dear friend Chris Angiolillo with us, and an entrepreneur to say the least. But as you'll hear about his awesome story, it doesn't happen overnight. Chris, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Paul. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome.
This will be
You're
fun.
welcome. So before we get into this, entrepreneurial explosion, so to speak, that I've watched evolve with you, the reason why I wanted to do this podcast and have you on is, as you know, I've been in the martial arts now for almost 50 years and a business owner of multi-locations for 30 years. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary. And it's always intrigued me about what the black belt mindset means, or what the black belt attitude means, how it transcends, not just for people that do martial arts, even though I know you've done martial arts before, but in business, in life, in personal relationships. There's many champions out there that I believe exhibit that black belt mindset. So I wanted to have you on to talk about your journey and your black belt mindset, because what I've seen and what I've known has just been so refreshing to watch a young guy do what he's done. So before we get into that, let's start a little bit. You're a North Reading guy?
Yeah.
Originally?
Well, first of all, thank you for that intro.
Oh, well.
And you get a
well deserved.
You get a first row seat to
Any games coming up? No.
Yeah. North Reading guy, born and raised. Family still lives there, so I know we've had a good relationship over the years, and yeah, I mean the journey as far as where we are today. Even just talking about it, informally, right?
Yeah, a little while ago.
Yeah, it's funny. You don't remember some stuff until you start talking about certain experiences. And then, like anything else, the black belt mentality, you start putting together those pieces.
Yep.
Just in basic conversations. So it's nice. It's always good to talk to, fellow people that are out there doing the same thing, that have the same mindset.
Like-minded people, right? And
exactly.
Just as well as I do is, at this stage in my life, and you'll get to it too, is, the circle gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's not that you just like people or whatever, but you're busy, you have families, you're running businesses, and you want to surround yourself with people that, have that same mindset.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you you grew up in North Reading? Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, so grew up in North Reading, went to Austin Prep.
Oh, okay.
I'm a lifer.
Lifer.
So that was the 6th grade through 12th grade.
Oh, they start, okay.
Yeah. But I think that was more so my parents' choice,
Yeah, I know.
I was an energetic kid,
So 6 through 12.
Yeah, 6 through 12, and then I PG'd up in Bridgeton, Maine.
For sports or?
For football, yep.
Football.
For football,
Yep.
So it was great experience. I love growing up in North Reading. Again, great community. It's nice to have a business. Our businesses are next to each other, so the community. It's
Great community.
yeah, it's great. And I think as things evolve too, you kind of get to see the community evolve and understand.
Yeah,
a
especially
lot of times.
you were born here. I wasn't. I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
How old are you now? 40?
40. I'll be 41 this year.
Oh, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're a youngster. Still wet behind the ears.
I'm trying.
Where did you go on to college after your PG
Yeah,
year?
so I went to Assumption University now.
In Worcester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Worcester. And,
Did you play football there?
Yeah, I played football there. I went to a lot of different schools. So I went to Assumption. I was actually, I tore my tendon my summer before going into football. Ugh. So yeah, that was a little damper. But anyway, so yeah, I went to Assumption for 2 years, came back home, finished up at Salem State.
Oh, okay.
And then I spent my time, at that point, I think we all go through that inflection point throughout life, right, in the 20s and 30s.
After school.
Yeah, as a kid, you're like, well, what am I going to do? And
Can I ask you a question before you go on? Tell me about your educational experience, whether it be at Austin or Bridgeton or college or whatever. Were you a quote student or?
No, by no means was I a student. I was a student of the game. I'll put it that way. I enjoyed the aspect of school, friends, sports, all those attributes that come with school. I was never, I don't know how to put it. I was never a formal. I couldn't sit down and do studies. I was never into studies like that. I was always intrigued by a lot of different things, so I was a good student. I was an average student, but I know if I gave it more effort, I probably would have been a better student. But I like the experience side. I like the
So tell me a little bit about that, because that's, in my experience and dealing with my children too, the experience is just as, if not even more important.
It is, yeah.
Than, I hate to say it, the traditional education
It is, yeah.
model.
And I don't want to take away from school, right?
No.
School's important, learning's important, knowledge is important. I know that now growing up, and as you evolve in life. But information comes from different places. That's the biggest takeaway. I think sometimes in institutional setting, especially where we grew up, there wasn't a lot of technology, right? It was whatever was printed in textbooks from whoever's.
Did you have encyclopedias back then?
Oh yeah. We had the Dewey Decimal System, so we were in the library. We were in the library trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
But no, that's I look back and even our conversation about school, it is reflective of how important the information is that you're learning, right?
Right.
And you don't get life information in school, unfortunately.
So true.
And how do you get that? It's through experience. It's through doing things. It's through failure. It's through aggravation, or it's through turmoil, so on and so forth. So I look back now and say, yeah, institutional education was great. The formality of what you learned and how you learned it sculpted who we are.
Right. I had a guest on, I think I mentioned to you a couple of episodes ago. She's coming up, very successful entrepreneur who, went the trade school route. And on the show, we had not the debate, but the discussion about trade, which now has become bigger than anything, and versus the traditional education model, not only from like what you're saying, but being trained in a specific craft, whether it be plumbing, cosmetics, carpentry, whatever it is, not only financially, but, these colleges today, and again, I went to college and law school, not to put down traditional education, but it is so expensive.
It is.
Right? And kids end up going into careers and having school loans their entire life.
And I don't think that model, so like, let's bring in like the business side, right?
Yeah.
Models change every decade, right? Every cycle.
Right.
The education model really hasn't changed. It's only gotten more exorbitantly expensive. And I got kids, I got young kids, and I'm looking at it.
You better put away, just in case.
I got to put away.
You better put away a couple of million.
Donuts. I got to put away a couple donuts.
Couple of donuts, right?
But no, I look at it and I says, especially now with technology, through experience, whether it's sports, martial arts, life experience, whatever it is, there's different ways of getting educated, right? I mean, look at YouTube and things where people now that feel like, they have no avenue of learning. Learning's free. You just have to go find it, And so I take that model and I says, yeah, education's great, but I think there's a big emphasis, like you said, either on trades, skill sets.
Yeah.
Learning how to fix something, build something, but also the process that goes in between all of that.
Right.
Right. In terms of like critical thinking and the frustration behind things and how to control your emotions.
See, and that's, I agree, I couldn't agree with you more. And, when my kids were in school and I'm like, can you teach them how to write a check? Can you show them like what to do? Functional life skills, of which, we were talking about this earlier, is that's what I really want to get about, even when we teach our kids today in martial arts classes, I don't even use the word martial arts or karate. I use it as a life skills program because we're using martial arts as a vehicle
100%.
to teach people how to think, to empower themselves, to pick themselves up when they're falling down. How do they deal with failure? Is it an opportunity or is it a life-ending event, right? So I couldn't agree with you more. It's learning takes place in so many different avenues, and yeah, I didn't never thought of it that way. That the learning model hasn't changed in centuries, right?
It has not.
It's
But it's progressed, right? Like the intelligence of access, right, and the quickness of how to access information.
so that goes back to our discussion on technology that we had earlier, and you said you were never and still not a fan
Hate social
of
media.
tech. You don't like social media. So,
social media.
and our conversation was really cool. So tell me. So technology is here. We didn't even talk about AI, right? Forget about that. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at. If it's real, is it fake? Is this
That's the next
person
phase.
really
Yeah,
the
that's
next
the- that's the
thing?
next
I'm
phase of-
watching models doing robots doing self-defense. Like, what is going on? So let's talk about, because I think it's really important and I see it all the time. Tell me about your disdain, for lack of a better word, for social media in general.
Where it comes from is we grew up with technology.
Right.
We didn't grow up with technology glued to our nose, right? And that's where, again, I feel like an old head, right? It's like,
No, you're
but
only
kids
40.
today, kids today, they have a very hard time distinguishing between reality and non-reality, right? And I'll always go back to saying social media is a non-reality.
Tell me about
It's,
that. What do
it's
you,
not real. And it goes back to where we are in our career, in our business, is how do you put yourself out there in an experience way?
Yep.
We talked about life experience. So how do you now put that out there in a meaningful way to not only help others that are up and coming,
Yep.
but also expand your business, right? How do you get out to the masses, the subset or the niche of your business?
yeah.
So it's a good avenue for that. The bad avenue.
Good avenue to showcase
Yes.
what you're doing.
Yeah, if you use it correctly. The
Okay.
bad avenue is 99% of the people that are absorbing social media aren't doing anything, right? And the 1% of people that are functionally using social media to either advertise.
To learn, to help, or to advertise.
Yeah, the metrics are really skewed.
How do you think it affects the youth?
It affects the youth because it affects me, right? And I think we're all victims of it, right? We'll be sitting home, and before you know it, you're like, wow, I just doom scrolled for 30 minutes.
Oh,
it's
my
like,
kid's in the other room, right? So if it's affecting us,
and it's hard to recognize, but I recognize it as
Oh, I get
as
yelled
40
at all
years
the
old,
time.
right? You're saying, Jesus, did I just what am I doing, right? Like, why did I just spend 30 minutes doing nothing? Again, but what does that do to a 12-year-old kid, a 15-year-old kid?
that they're in their formative years, their brains are forming, their thought processes are, they're learning life stuff, and what are they seeing? What are they doing? Could they be, like, what happened to the days I grew up, my mother and father would say, okay, go out in front of the house and play street hockey and come in at 6 o'clock for dinner or 5 for dinner. That doesn't,
with a bloody nose, a broken hockey stick.
it doesn't happen like that anymore, right? It's like, let's do this. And
But we see that in the business side.
In what way? What do you mean?
We have the up and coming. We always used to have either kids coming back from school.
Okay, so we're going to get into your business part.
Yeah,
So,
part-time job. But this is real quick. This is where that affects the interaction. Right? Is you really have to walk on eggshells sometimes when you're talking to either the younger demographic or you're trying to explain something to them, and it's just like, so there's a different way of teaching now. Right? And the way to do that is to bring in what they know, which is technology, which is media. So that's kind of like, to go back to, I hate social media. That's where we decided to bring in social media, is really an assistance of our learning module within business, right? To know that, like, hey, listen, 10 years ago, we'd say, hey, where's your phone? Phone's in the back pocket or in the back room, right? Is get the phone out of your hand. Now we embrace the phone. Right, so we're doing all of our learning modules on the phone. They're gamification learning modules.
so in that case, helpful,
Yes.
useful,
Yes.
almost essential for a business owner,
100%.
used appropriately. Balanced against what's going on with our youth, right?
Right.
And we talked about this. I've been in situations where there'd be a group of individuals at the table and they're texting each other at the table. And I'm saying, what? Does anyone speak anymore? And that's the problem too, right? Everyone in that age generation is so dependent on texting, on whatever these apps are to do this, to communicate. Their thinking is not happening.
No.
It's stagnant. They're being suppressed.
And we don't know what comes from that.
We
That's
don't.
the problem, right?
Long-term studies, God knows.
Yeah. So we'll figure that out in 25 years, and we're going to say, yeah, we kind of.
So your kids that are young, right?
Yeah.
Are going to be, we're going to fall. So as parents, we have to really step in and regulate that.
Well, I think that's a big thing. I think that's it always comes back to either martial arts or sports, right?
Yeah, tell me about, so you've done martial arts before and...
Yeah, grew up karate, taekwondo, more so because my father, that was big for my father when he was younger.
Father's awesome, your mother's awesome.
Big Jim. So, yeah, I got involved with martial arts early, and looking back now, I didn't love it, but now I understood what it did and what it was for.
What did it do for you? How old were you?
I was, let me think, I had to have been 7 when I started karate.
Awesome age.
6, 7.
Yep.
And then I finished up, by the time I started playing like high school sports,
Yeah,
schedules and all that stuff.
Right. Other commitments.
Yeah, and so I was probably like 13, 14. So I probably did like 6, 7, 8 years.
That's
and then
a
I did
long-
MMA like in my 20s,
Yeah,
just,
that's a
just to
long
mess around
time,
and
yeah.
and all that stuff.
So going back, like you said, you didn't like it or you weren't sure. Going back, what do you think the life lessons
You had someone different in your life with a different perspective, right? We talked about where you get information from,
Right.
And all these influential people, and I could probably name them on one hand between coaches and instructors or individuals like that. They all did something for you in a period of your life, whether it was good or bad.
Right.
We all have horror stories of just really bad coaches or really bad instructors and people that should never be in that industry. But again, it is a litmus test of what you will be involved with later on in life, right? Whether it's a boss you hate, whether it's a management company you don't want to be associated with. So you find out, and I try to use this to say, listen, a bad experience is a good experience because it tells you what you'll never want to deal with again in your life, or an individual who you never want to be,
or how to overcome it, right?
or how to overcome it.
Yeah.
And that's important. And that's important when you get into, we talked about the 9-to-5ers, right? And people that will just sit in place for the bulk of their life, unhappy.
Yeah, because we talked about this before, right? It's the cookie cutter mentality, living in the box. You go to school, you get the job, you stay in that job for your entire life, you get married, you have kids.
It's a societal
It's
timeline,
driven, right?
Yeah. And that's, so again, I don't know that in it when
No,
you're in it.
7 to 15 years old. You're not going to know that.
But you're looking back and you're saying, hey, I had this really good instructor. Guy was tough, right? Guy didn't let me get away with stuff that I knew that, in my head, I can't do it or I don't want to do it. No, you can do it and you will do it.
Empowerment.
Yes.
Key.
And so that sticks with you, right? That's a little filing cabinet in your brain that you'll draw on at some point.
And same with sports too, right?
100%.
Right?
They're all the
I'm
same.
sure you had the same experience. And people will say to me like, oh, but that's martial arts and that's sports and this is gymnastics and
No,
this is over this. The blueprint, and we're going to get into your success, the blueprint's the same.
There's a fiber. There's
Right?
a common fiber that goes
That
through.
resonates throughout all of this. So now let's fast forward. We don't talk a lot, and I don't see you that much, but I do follow you, and it's great to see. I'm going to call you the young guys, and men and women really taking off from that traditional 9-to-5 set that we talked about. We talked about traditional education versus trade, some stuff, and the way that we get information, the way we learn, like you said, you can go on YouTube or some other channels and learn just about how to do anything. So in that case, that's great. Tell us about all the new ventures you got coming on. I know that your family, you were born into a family of entrepreneurial aspirations for sure, and you've seen that as a young kid. Tell us a little bit about how this all came about, of what you're doing now and what you've been exposed to as a child.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up. I grew up in a really good family, healthy family.
Yeah, family's awesome.
So first and foremost, which was important, right? My family got involved in the Dunkin' franchise late '80s.
Late
It
80s.
was my father and his two brothers.
Okay.
And it was to help. My father was helping his middle brother. He had a cleaning business, didn't really want to do it anymore, was injured. So to him, it was like, let me just try to help find a business for him to do. And that's how they all kind of came together.
So the three of them.
The three of them, yeah. And they all had a different skill set, right? So my Uncle Chuck worked the operations day to day.
Okay.
At the time, my father was a CPA by trade.
That's right.
So he handled the business and in monetary,
Yeah,
financial aspect. So again, team, right? Always go back
Yeah, we talked about it. It's that team.
it's the team,
Right.
And not. I find that now. So I grew up with that. That was imparted in my fabric of who I am.
That's huge.
Right.
Right.
But in addition to seeing my family as a team, right, I'm also involved in sports teams and martial arts, and so I grew up in that spectrum of you didn't do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Everything was always a team. There was always an aspect of a different skill set.
Well, that's huge, right? So two issues come out of this. Just if I may, just pause you for a second. Is that not everybody is dealt the cards that you're describing, right? You had a strong family unit, and I call it the foundation. And like in martial arts, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. Not everybody has had that, and a lot of successful people didn't have that. But then, as you know, I worked in the criminal justice system for very long. A lot of people, went down the wrong path. From that. They didn't have the support.
They have the opposite. They have no support.
No support. So
And
we
that's-
need support, and we need the
Yes.
team, whether it's a family team, a business team, a mentor team, whatever it is, right?
Well, that gets back into where I am and now my inflection point.
Yeah, so
right,
tell-
in business and life is the mentorship side, right? And that's where I recognize, first of all, how lucky, okay, or blessed, whatever term you want to use, and what my family unit did, what my surroundings did. But how do you now give that back? How do you now translate that into something that's purposeful, right?
Purposeful
And that's where for me, social media came into play.
right. Well, but you're doing good stuff, and you're learning, and you're educating, and you're training. So back to your dad and your uncles, did they have one dunk?
Yeah, so I started with one store. It actually happened to be one of our neighbors who had 3 stores they were selling.
Oh,
So it was happenstance. It was literally them taking a walk in the neighborhood, my father seeing them, having a conversation, right? We talked about conversations.
yeah. People spoke back then.
People did speak back then. And one thing led to the other, right? And that's where what started off as a job, as an opportunity, then transitioned into more of a business strategy, okay, or template. So
Again, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but your story is so unique, but it also resonates with some of the other folks I had on. So I had a buddy of mine, Todd Angiolillo. He's the one of his roles is he's the singer, does the national anthem for the Bruins.
oh yeah.
Yeah, Todd.
I
great.
know the name.
Yeah, great guy. I worked with him in probation many years ago. But we were talking about opportunities, right?
Yeah.
We never know what's going to... Your dad's walking down the street,
No idea.
right? But the communication's there. We never know where these opportunities may arise,
And if you
right?
never have the conversation, you'll never
You
have
didn't
the
have the
opportunity.
conversation, you wouldn't be where you were today,
Exactly.
and your family wouldn't.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, shoot your shot.
Yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
Shoot your shot.
Go ahead, go to the basket.
That's it.
You got to
That's
go.
it, right?
So then it turned into multiple locations.
Yeah, it turned out to multiple locations over many years. And again, I grew up in the business, not in the business, but I grew up around the business, right? And that was
How do
my
you
first,
avoid it?
That was my first job, right? As 15.
Did you work at?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 14, 15, my father would wake up driving to Chelsea every day. And it's funny because I always tell the story, I would take all my tip money, go buy scratch tickets at the convenience store, we were next to the famous King Arthur's down at Produce Center.
So the first one, yeah.
So I had some good life
Oh boy,
experience.
yeah, we
as
won't
a
go
kid.
into that.
Yeah.
So the first store was in Chelsea?
First store was that was in Bellingham Square, Chelsea.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Right on the corner. We were on the corner. We moved years later, but yeah, and again, another tough area, right? That was another tough area of Chelsea, and not for the weak-minded.
No.
You know, and again, as a naive 15-year-old kid, I'm just, let's go to work, and but yeah, so that's kind of how it started. So like all these little inflection points throughout my life, I look back now mattered,
Huge.
and they were huge influencers to who I am,
So string of Dunkin' Donuts, still have them, right? Still have some of them.
Yeah, we got 11 stores. We were up to 15 at one time. We had stores in Virginia.
Oh, out of state too.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
Yeah, we did. We had 3 stores there with the 5-store development strategy. We ended up getting out of those in 2016. We were flying. I was just kind of coming on board at that time on the management side. So like Muhammad, my partner and a brother to me.
Yes, I was going to say.
We were flying back and forth a couple times a week. And
So did you, even though you worked in as a teenager, you went to college?
yeah, so there was a break. So I worked
through the break?
I worked as 15, and then I worked construction.
After college?
No, during that time.
Okay,
too, like
during that
16,
time. Yeah.
In high school, part time.
What did you do after college?
So after college, I came back home, and again, I was
Trying to find yourself.
yeah. I had a business administration, management degree. But what does that mean, right? You come out with education, and you go, okay, what do I do?
What do I
I
do?
gotta get a job. So, and I didn't want to get a job. I didn't.
You did?
I didn't. I don't know. I can't remember why. I just remember very distinctly being on my parents' couch. If I was watching TV and I'm sitting there and I'm like, Dad, I was like, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I was like, I don't know what I should be doing. I should be doing something else.
It's like a parent, right? There's no book.
There's no
right?
And to him, he's
remember when you
probably
brought your firstborn home? You're like, right? You're like,
right.
And you start calling your parents and your mother and whatever. It's like you don't know, right? It's and I equate that to like kids getting out of college too, or kids getting whatever. It's like, now what?
Yeah, you got a mountain of debt, and you have no idea. Okay, great. Like, because why? Everything was so structured. They told me what time to go to school, where to show up,
When the test
where
is,
to park, when the test is. All of a sudden, you're like, congratulations, you did it.
Here's your
And
degree.
and you go, okay, now what? Right? And again, that's life. But if you're not built, or you don't have the experiences
Beforehand.
i.e. sports, martial arts,
Yep.
all these things that we're talking about,
They're life skills,
that will
right?
crumble. And I have friends. I got people that I know that it just crumbles them, and they can never get out of those days, right?
Tough.
Of structure, okay, and where everything is, the end of the world, and so
It's we talked briefly today, and I say this to my kids even today, and I said it to them when they were young. 90% of it is showing up,
that's it.
right?
That's it.
And then
Showing up scared, Paul. Like
what's that?
Showing up scared.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think people look at it, they go, well, what do you mean you're doing this, you're doing that? It's like, listen, I don't know what I'm doing.
I love it.
The only thing I know what I'm doing is what time I need to be there. I will figure it out when I get there. And that to me, I live by. It's not.
When did you figure that out? You're
okay,
young.
so I'm going to drop a name. Sean Stellato.
Okay.
He used to train me when I was in high
Yeah, I know
school.
Sean
And I'll
very
never
well.
forget this. He goes, it's not where you're from, it's how you come.
Yeah.
That was a sports thing, right? In other words, it was his big thing is an underdog mentality.
Absolutely. No backing down, right?
Yeah. So I always had the mentality, it's not where you're from, it's how you come. You just got to show up. Right? Who cares what your education is? Who cares what you may know, what you may not know. Just show up, because everyone else is showing up. Most times people don't know what they're doing. They're figuring it out as they go along. And the people that have the experience already, those are the ones you're drawing from.
Exactly.
Right? So, and if you're aware of that and you show up and you know which people to align yourself with, whether it's business or life,
Yep.
eventually you'll see something, you'll hear something, or then you'll be asked to be a part of something.
Opportunities, right? Are created.
That's it.
Opportunities.
And then from there, it's like riding a bike, right? It's repetition, right? Repetition, discipline.
There's the foundation. There's the discipline. See, Chris, I firmly believe that and again, this is nothing to do with the word average. It's nothing to do with what, don't think of me as coming across as pompous or better than I am, far from that. But people are satisfied by being average.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I keep on bringing up kids, but you know, we have to tell our youth that if you just follow the principles that we've been talking about, those life skills, you can do anything.
Anything.
Reach to the skies. And like you said, the old days, like when I'm much older than you, when I was growing up, like you had to have this blueprint, right? Like, all right, let's have a meeting. And let's have a meeting to discuss the meeting. But I don't know how to do that, so then I can't do it.
Right.
Oh, well, in a book, a friend of mine recommended a book, and it's called Who Not How, right? It's like, I don't know how to do that. Yeah. We talked about the team. I'm running a business here. Like, I can teach martial arts. I don't know how to do these computer skills. I wasn't trained in ABC. You know, that was when I went to school. It's like they came out with this first box computer or something. I don't know what it was, right? But there's people out there that have those skills, and it goes back to again the team, right? Use the people, use those individuals that have the skills that you may not have. Bring them together. I was watching today, I told you, a video clip that you had, and I think you were in the Chelsea Dunkin' Donuts with Mohammed, right? And you put in place the manager, you renovated the store, you did the inside, you did the outside. I mean, you're not an architect, right? I know you did some construction, but I'm sure you weren't there.
Well, that's the behind the scenes, right? And that's
another issue. Yeah, tell us about that.
That's the behind the scenes of and entangle that with life. Everyone thinks that you have to be the architect of your own life, the CEO of your own life. Yes, you do, right? I mean, you have full control of you and how you show up. But like anything else, it's project management. We're all individual projects, right? And if you have that mentality, and that's where the skill set comes in. I'm used to chaos. I'm used to showing up. I'm used to the phone ringing, early in the morning. To most people, that's like the last thing they want to deal with.
So
right?
let me focus on that, because I was a psych major, and I love chaos, right?
Same.
Like I say, people will go, "Oh, your martial arts schools, there's kids running around doing this." Like organized chaos. It's awesome,
love it.
right?
Yeah, love it.
What separates you from loving it to people freaking out? Because I know,
Here's a common.
So many people that freak out at chaos.
Most people. Well, here's the misconception, and I had a hard time with this until people brought it to your attention. You say, listen, not everyone is you, right? Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to run their own business, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Period.
Of course.
Period. I think sometimes when you're figuring out who you are in life or in business, you just assume everyone's like you, right? That is the trap I found in your own management. Is you assume when you hire someone, you just assume that they're going to do it as well as you're going to do it.
I know.
That is a very bad
It's expectations,
it's a
right?
very bad place to be in, because, and I used to do it, and I was my own victim to it, and I would say, hey, listen, and then I would get upset and say, listen, why can't you put A, B, and C together? I don't have to give you B, just go to A to C, because that's what I would do.
Right.
That's not the way life is. That's not the way people learn.
So how do you manage those employees, those people that...
First and foremost, you have to be aware of that scenario that exists.
Right.
Right. And then you have to go back into, who is this person I'm dealing with? And that's where most people stop. They don't take the time to understand who the person is in front of them, whether it's an employee, whether it's a boss, whether it's a manager.
When you say who the person is, what do you mean?
Psychologically.
Okay.
Right? What makes this person tick? What's this person asking of me?
Yep.
Right. Or more importantly, as a business owner, or as a boss, or as a leader. Right. I hate those terminologies like boss and employee. If you're a leader in a company, you don't have to own the company to be a leader.
No.
So if you're a leader of a company or a team, you have to know each individual player and how they tick.
They're different.
Right.
We always used to whitewash it. We used to say,
can't.
All right, here's Chris, here's Paul.
That's the herd mentality, though.
Everybody treats the same. You'd go to lunch at this time.
Yes.
You do this. This is when you can do that. You get paid X, no matter what you do and how you perform.
They made a business out of that. It's called prison.
You're right. It sounds like it.
You know, but that is, so that's what I take away in all my experiences is and that's where, you know, we have whatever, a couple hundred employees, and same for Muhammad, right? Is we make it a point, I need to know who you are, right? Good or bad. I need to know what makes you tick, how you learn, what you're here for, right? Are you here for a paycheck or are you here for growth? Because those are two drastically different things.
Do you hire people? Let me ask you this. You're a good judge of character, obviously, and you've been in the business now for quite some time. You grew up with it. There are people that are in it just for the paycheck.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there are in it people that want to grow and become leaders.
And
there's
people,
you need both?
yes,
Or,
and there's people that are in it because they just have no other community. They have no other tribe. Right? So there's a loneliness aspect to, and we see that because we have a lot of, immigrants, okay, that come to this country.
Sure.
Right? They don't know anybody. Okay, my partner's one of them. He came from Morocco, knew nobody.
yeah, your dad told me.
Got on a plane, Paul. Right? Professional Moroccan soccer player. Had a life in Morocco. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That could be another episode.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have you back. I want to hear.
But he came here, right, with nothing. Okay, didn't even know the language. Came here, learned the language, got a job with Duncan. Okay, worked his way up. Now a franchisee with us. But I say that because that's the demographic of personnel that you're dealing with, right? Is not everybody wants to just jump on a plane across the world.
No.
And then aspire to do something. Some people just want to get out of bed, pay their rent, get their groceries, go back to bed.
Right.
That's okay.
Yep.
And we have a position for you, right? Where it stops is you can't have your cake and eat it too. In other words, you can't be non-aspirational, but then want the benefits or the
Whether it's pay, whether it's time off, whatever it is.
right? And that's the hard part, is because those are the hard conversations that you have to have with people, and you have to almost be a psychologist in our business.
You do.
In the way of, if you cure their problem, it will cure your problem. In other words,
100%. So on that video then that I was watching, and you just mentioned it too, Tribe, right? And I have a coaching business that I do to help other business owners, martial arts schools kind of grow and like brand and stuff like that. And I had a conversation with a gentleman this morning, and I used the same word, tribe. It's we as humans, because at the end of the day, it's about people, and you mentioned that in your video. It's about people, right? And people want to belong.
Yeah.
Right?
We have to belong.
We have to belong. Yeah. So it's either going to be your own family, biologically, a family atmosphere in business, or you go to a gang, right? Because there's that, working in probation for many years. I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You're accepted. No one else accepted these people.
I'll go one step further. A gang is the same as our Duncan crew. Okay? They're just doing different things.
Exactly.
Okay? There's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
There's a place for everybody. If you want to be an aspirational leader in a gang and lead a gang, it's the same mentality and it's the same pathway of thinking.
Doesn't it resonate through, you use the word fiber or fabric. Or
it does.
It resonates through everything.
The same effort that you give negatively to aspire in a negative environment is the same energy or effort that you have to give in a positive environment, and you lead a drastically, obviously, different life.
Yeah, it's like you're a fork in the road, right? You're going to go this way,
but where do you draw on? So we'll go back to having a good life, a good family structure, right? And that's where it's important when you have good teams, good coaches, good mentors, good instructors throughout your life.
Yep.
That moment you do get in that fork in the road, more often than not, you're going to gravitate the correct way.
Yep.
Right? Because why?
Life is,
Yeah, no, it's not a guarantee. I'm saying the probability, statistical probability of you probably doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Because you had positive influences, family or not. And that's why it's important. And that's why it's important as a parent now, as kids, is get your kids involved with the right programs, with the right people in their life, including friends. And that's a big thing I see as a dad now is, you don't want to be judgmental, But, you know,
Not to a 2 and
but my
5-year-old,
5-year-old,
but-
and I'm saying like, oh, is this, you know,
Well,
this kid-
5-year-olds
this kid's a little-
today-
this kid's a little wild, you know, don't want him hanging around. And
Got to
you
get
can
him in
see,
the dojo.
right. I got to drop him off on Saturday.
Easy.
But you can see how easily influenced kids are.
Oh.
And I didn't know that until you have your own kids.
Right? Oh, your whole life changes. Like I said earlier, there's no
Drastically.
book. You don't know.
You see a 5-year-old is like a sponge, to the point where they're literally saying the same thing. You know, if they hear something, they repeat it or they do it. That's human nature, whether you're an adult or not.
Right.
If you're in the wrong community, the wrong tribe, the wrong sport, the wrong coach, okay, whatever it is, you will eventually mimic, okay, that environment,
100%.
and then you will become that environment.
When I was in the probation field, right? I mean, it wasn't brain science. You'd see the people that were abused became abusers. Not everyone,
Right.
right? Because they had the mentoring and they had someone in their life. But the pattern just continued, whether it be domestic violence, whether, you know, addiction, whatever it be.
Right.
Right? Life's difficult. And again, some people weren't dealt the cards that you and I were dealt. So, yeah, you're right. Whether it's the bad tribe or the good tribe, like you said, the hierarchy's the same, the position's the same, the belonging's the same. So what would you say the number one, so you got these dunks, you also got some real estate, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so you're doing that. And you also started some new stuff. You got new projects going on? Or?
Yeah, we just started ground up development.
Is that the one in...
That's up in Amesbury.
Amesbury, yeah, that's the one I saw.
So, and that's kind of, again, something that interests me just through my construction background.
You know why it interests you? I watched your video, a video you did, and you said there was one parcel of land, and I don't have all the facts because I'm getting old with my memory.
I'll plug
here.
in the gaps.
And it said, you said there was something about the lot wasn't buildable or something like that, and you said, well, how do I solve this problem?
That's it.
Let me buy the surrounding lots or something to that. Am I close?
No, that's and it's also from the point of creation, right? And this sounds funny, but I enjoy creation. I was always kind of that kid that like would take something apart to figure out how it works.
Got
right?
it.
I could never put it back together, right? But I would take apart my
But
race
you wanted
car.
to see the components.
I just want to see the components, right? And my parents would tell you that. They said, yeah, I always got a toy, I take it apart, and then I try to put it back together, and they're like, what are you doing?
Okay, so you weren't going to become a mechanic, but
Right.
you,
don't bring your vehicle to me because
Exactly.
it won't come back the same. But no, so I love seeing things for what they are, right? Run down, whether it's a business, a piece of property, abandoned property. And
you have that
I just
vision.
see it.
Like,
I drive-
what do you
Yeah,
see?
I see. Okay, like
you
this-
see what it
what
can be.
And I say it all the time. It's not what it is today. It's what it can be. That's the same whether you're building or a human, right? Someone that you mentor or bring up in that way. But so Amesbury, the ground up development was the next play for us, right? It was like, well, I enjoy construction, I enjoy project management. We have the teams, we have the wherewithal. So that's where that love of building came into play. And what it will become, you know, time will tell. But that's where the interest lies, you know, and my biggest thing was how do you harness all of these relationships we have today, from attorneys to
Because
architects
you're right.
to
Contractors.
to development, you know, town officials, and
Town
development
officials for
officers.
permits and
We're
this
in
and that.
12 different cities and towns, right? Like, so how do you put all that together?
Yeah.
And then also fulfill a need, right? There's a drastic housing need. So again, that's where I think your creativeness comes into play, but then also don't be afraid, right? You know, just jump in sometimes. We had...
Chris, that's easier said than done. I agree with you.
But...
We're similar,
Yeah.
right? But again, there's a fundamental problem, societal problem
Yes.
of if you're afraid, if you don't know, if that's not your skill set,
Paul, I was scared shitless.
I'm out. Good.
I was scared shitless, but you know what I said when I was home? I was sat and I said, listen, you're confident in what you're doing because of your experience. All right, so get all the noise out of your brain of,
Correct.
well, I've never done this before, so, but what if, what about this, what about that? go back to my own mindset, which is I'll deal with that when it comes, okay? Because nothing is going to be perfect,
No.
whether you're dealing with construction or anything else, right? So, and that's what I did. I just started from baseline. I said, okay, well, what's the first move I got to make, right? Baby steps. What's this first? I see the table in front of me, right? It takes, I need 7 steps to get to that table before I can hold on. So what's the first step? The first step is go get the plans. Go even see if this is feasible, right? Then start asking questions. And I'm the type of person, Paul, that I don't care how stupid I look,
No.
right? I'll ask the question, even if I know it already, I'll ask the question because I want the opinion. I want to hear the perspective of maybe something I'm not thinking about.
Yeah. And of the experts in that field, too.
Right. And that comes from, again, realizing that we all have our own biases. And I see that every day.
We all do.
People have their own bias, they stick by it, and it ruins some people. Sometimes it ironically will help people because they just stay in one
But
lane.
Chris, that's ego.
It is.
It's ego.
It is.
And don't you see, I mean, oh boy.
Yeah.
Especially in the martial arts, when I talk about ego, I'm like, whoa. But that ego, well, we all have ego, right? It can be a really limiting
Yeah.
part of the brain,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
And it's weird to think about or even talk about because you have that little inner voice, right? Some people do. I found out not everyone has the inner voice, which is another concept.
Okay.
But I think it's like 70% of people have that little inner voice, right? That you talk to yourself. And it's you versus you. I always say that. It's you versus you when you're sitting in a room, whatever you're doing, and you are as limited as you want to be. If you want to limit yourself, you will.
Own free will.
That's it.
Right? Everybody's like strapped by these negative forces. And I always tell people, tell me if you agree or disagree, is that, a lot of people can, will equate it to football. A lot of people can get to the 5-yard line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Here's the end zone, the 5-yard line. And you know this better than anybody. Well, what happens to the defense when you get to the 5-yard line? They bring in, their biggest people that may be second string. It doesn't matter. They're going to create a wall.
But offensively, you have now less room to operate.
So now,
right?
right. So defensively, you're stacked.
Yes.
Offensively, you're in that red zone with minimal room.
Right.
And I always equate this to magnetic force. The closer you get to a goal, this is psychology.
Sucks you in.
Well, it pushes back, right?
Okay.
You're on the 5-yard line.
See, I'm going on the positive side. As soon as I get closer to my
Well,
goal,
I'm
I'm
saying
getting sucked in.
we're going to get in. We're going to get the running back or the quarterback going in. Is that this other force is pushing, right? So there's this repelling motion.
Yep.
And that's when people stop.
Yeah.
It gets too hard.
First sign of resistance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's first. You said it earlier.
Yep.
It gets too hard.
Yep.
It's uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Yeah.
It's scary.
Yep. What I found is every time that resistance barrier comes into play,
Yep.
treat it like an onion. Just keep peeling back another layer, right? Keep peeling back another layer. And I still do it. I'm not sitting on a soapbox. I practice it every day.
You have
and
to.
if you don't practice it every day, you're never going to get good at it. But anytime there's a barrier of resistance, whether it's in knowledge or action, peel back another layer. What do I have to do? And it's okay. I think most people assume if you don't maintain momentum, it goes away.
Right.
You can reestablish momentum.
100%.
And it's very okay to take a timeout, go back to football, right? Go back, take a timeout, get a water break, go back to the sideline,
Reevaluate.
go back to your team.
Yep.
Right? What's going on here? What do you think? Well, you know what? I'm seeing this wide receiver over here, but I'm on this side of the line. I don't know what's going on that side of the line. Coach is saying, no, we got to run this because we only have this much time left. What are you doing? You're gathering information. You're taking part in conversation of what to do, strategy, with your fellow teammates. That, to me, is how you reestablish momentum. And that's what I practice every day. I think similar to you, right? And any barrier of resistance, you say, what's my next step?
So you're a problem solver.
Too much so, Paul. Drives my wife mental. But I'm like an engineer. It's like sometimes I'm my own problem because it's just like you just have to flip the switch. But I'll sit there and try to figure out 2 or 3 extra steps that are not needed.
But you did it as a little kid when you took away the toy. I mean, when you took apart the toy. So
Problem
this,
was, never got back together.
yeah. But now we talked about the who, not how. You get someone else to figure that out.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So you got these dunks, you've got the real estate, you've got these projects going on. I remember talking with your dad, I don't know if it was a year ago or whatever, and then you said, I'm going to get my own office, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you have your own business now? Like, what,
Yeah, well, we started Signifer Ventures.
what is it called?
Signifer Ventures.
What's that?
So Signifer, so you know what a Signifer was in the Roman army?
Right.
Actually, a good friend of mine that we were going to go into business together. We kind of come up with that aura.
Got it.
Was the
Got
Roman
it.
army.
Yep.
So the signum was the I'm probably going to butcher this, but it was the family flag
Got
that
it.
was held in war. So the signifer was the last man standing. If he was killed, the next person that's closest to the signum has to pick it up and carry
The
family
torch.
flag.
Yep.
So that's where that kind of came from. It was kind of like a
So is it like you're following in your family's footsteps type of
not
thing?
necessarily.
Okay.
It was just no matter what's happening in life, in war, always carry the flag, never give up. It was that kind of mentality. And that's just like when you're trying to start a business, to me, it was important to have that aspect of the business name represent really everything.
Well, yeah, it tells a story, right?
Yeah. So, and it was super interesting,
It's inspiring.
Yeah. So
It's historical.
yeah, and so that's where that came from. And the business itself was.
So what's the business?
The business itself is a real estate and franchise investment firm, right? So
Just for dunks or for any?
no, it's kind of we never had a formal structure of what our family business was.
Because you got so many things going on.
Yeah, there was
right?
just a lot of stuff going on.
You got-
so it's like, how do you explain if someone asks, "What do you do for business?" Very simplistically, in an elevator, you got 30 seconds, right?
Right.
It's Signifer Ventures. We're a real estate and franchise investment firm.
So this is a way of bringing it in
Yeah,
and containing it.
just to organize it. And then again, my larger plan is vertically integrating all of our experiences. So we have the franchise side, which is Dunkin'. We're opening up another franchise called Jimmy John's, which is under the Inspire. Follow me here.
That's a food.
Yes, it's a sub franchise, sandwich franchise, but it's also under Inspire, who owns Dunkin's. They're the parent company. So
Interesting.
yeah, so we
So
got
what's that look like?
Well,
How's that going to play out?
So
far.
Jimmy John's wanted experienced Dunkin' franchisees to start running their development. They wanted to start expanding. They approached a network of Dunkin' franchisees that are in good standing, and they want to obviously lead that development. And it was good for us because our old, like we talked about, concepts that never change.
Correct.
Institutions like school,
Educate.
Dunkin', we changed. So like,
Oh my God.
we had these Taj Mahals of stores, right? Because at one time people came, they sat down for hours and conversed, right? That's gone. So we have these 3,000, 3,500 square foot locations that on the business side, we said, again, in the world we live in today, how do we mitigate expenses? How do we reduce our costs?
Yeah,
We
scaling
can't.
the business, right?
We can't, right? Because we're already in these.
You're in the
these
locations, right.
footprints. So for us, we own the building. We says, you know what? Instead of doing a remodel, which we have to do, and just putting tile back in soft seating or whatnot, let's try to fit in an additional concept, and feed the business on both ends. Each business will help each other, right? Because we have an afternoon day part that's going to help the morning day part, Dunkin' side.
Yeah, it's going to feed off each other.
And then the expense load. So we get to minimize our square footage from Dunkin' and then pick it up on the Jimmy John's. And then we also get to share our common expenses. So there was a lot more behind the scenes strategy to that than just, let's just open up another franchise.
So like, we talked briefly about this, and we definitely have to have you back on the show. It's so intriguing. I use the word under the hood. We talk, people see, oh, Chris, look at him. He's got all these,
Yeah,
he's
I love that.
involved in all these businesses. He's got this, this real estate thing going on.
must be nice.
He's
Must be nice.
Yeah, it must be nice. He's loaded, awesome. And you and I talked about this, like, people see the product.
Yeah.
They don't see what it takes to get the product developed, maintained, from, you know better than, from employees, from insurances, from banks to architects to town officials, everything.
It would make normal people vomit.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
when you say normal and I say average, we're talking the same thing.
Right.
So again, what drives you? What continues to drive you?
We're a little crazy, Paul. That's
Well,
what
you got to be.
No, that's
yeah,
what it comes down to.
No, you have to be.
I chalked it up that we're wired differently, and it's an acceptance thing. And I think that is what was always not my problem. That was always my confusion when I was younger, because I was wired differently. I'm the same person I am today as I was 20, 30 years
Well,
ago.
you speak like you. I mean, your childhood is very vivid, so you remember a lot of things, and positive things, and
Yeah,
developmental
But I
things.
remember internally, right, always wanting more.
Well, that's what I was going to get at.
Subconsciously.
So, do you think that?
Not that I wasn't satisfied. Don't get me wrong. So I want to put a little
Yeah,
perspective there, right?
Please.
I always, it wasn't like it wasn't good enough. It was always like, what's the next thing, right? Okay, great. We gotta win here, or we made this team. What's next? And there was confusion around that.
That's your chaos.
But yes, but that is the entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly.
Right? It's
so,
like, and you can't harness it. It's just kind of who you are. I don't know why I'm like that.
So look, this is what I want to ask you. Do you think it's probably both, but do you think you were just born that way? Do you think it was an environmental thing, i.e., family?
I think a healthy balance of two. I think people are born that way.
Yep.
For sure, of who you are. And I think what accelerates it is the environment, or de-accelerates it.
Right.
So
So your family.
yeah. So that
Your experiences.
I think the goodness of my foundation ignited that. Okay, because I didn't have the trials and tribulations, or
Good word.
or
Yeah,
or
no,
things
and
that
there's people-
that people go through. Okay, so so I think that's where the acceleration came from. Now that I'm looking back and I'm saying, like we talk about, it's sometimes it's hard to talk to others, okay, that want that but are not built for it.
Do you find that people get jealous?
Yeah, a lot.
Do you find that people say, "Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you working so hard?
Yeah.
Why?"
But I look at that, and again, there's a quote out there. That's a reflection of others' limitations, right? When
It's
people-
on them.
Yeah, when people
Nothing
tell you
to-
to slow down, or hey, you don't have to do
You're
that.
working too hard.
That's because if they were in your position, that's what they would do. And again, things are different. So from outside perspective, they said, well, why do you need more? Why do you need another franchise? Why do you need to do another, development? And it's like, it's not, because you're looking at it maybe from a money standpoint. When's enough? We're not doing it.
When's enough? Yeah.
I'm not doing it for money per se.
I mean, the money's the byproduct, but that's not
But
the
I'm doing it-
catalyst.
exactly. I'm doing it for the love of the chase. Not everyone understands that.
No.
When you're a solutionist, right? I look at the puzzle on the cardboard box, and I'm saying, okay, that's a cool picture. I want to build that picture, right? It's not. So it's the process. I love
The process.
process. That is like, that moves me.
Then you see the finished product.
Oh, and it's
and
like,
then Chris goes, "What's next?"
what's next? Right.
Right. What's next?
next?
Let me ask you this as we're closing out. We've got a couple of minutes left, but talked about money, talked about the process. I firmly believe that whether we're teaching kids and adults in martial arts, i.e. life skills, whether we're building projects, whether we're opening up or maintaining businesses like you're doing, we have a duty to give back, right?
That's a very important part of everything.
How do you feel what you're doing now is giving back?
That's a tough question.
Oh.
I'll start with I recognize that is now a part of what needs to be in place.
You mentioned housing, right? You
Yeah.
were helping.
But even more so from my own personal mentality is now putting yourself out there you get the outreach, right? And a lot of people reach out, and whether it's they want to do something or they're just saying, hey, that looks
Want
awesome.
some advice or
Yeah, whatever it is. So you start having these different conversations.
Yeah.
And they're not leveled conversations.
Of course not.
They're people coming to you looking for advice.
Yeah, yeah.
What was really humbling, Paul, was I was getting, I got a couple messages on Instagram. I'm not exaggerating, pages of people's life stories that I haven't talked to in 10 years.
Really?
11 years. Like, hey man, I saw your video. I just had my third kid, and I just don't know what to do. I'm sitting at my job, and everything that you're saying is what I want to do, and like, what do I do?
So now you're the mentor.
When I read that, I was like, all right, first of all, I didn't sign up for this.
It's a lot of responsibility.
In a good way. I said, what do I say? Because I think we all have, myself included, that inferior complex.
Like, who am I to help?
Right? Yeah, like, who am I to give you advice?
Right.
And so there's a lot of that. But to answer your question, like, how do you give back? I
Well,
think,
that's giving back. That's a great example.
yeah, no, well, that was the inflection point for me. I said,
Okay.
whoa. Seriously, I was like, whoa, like, I didn't see that coming. And now it's like, I can't just give some bullshit response here.
Yeah, just
It's
to,
just not
to
me.
answer the
It's
question.
just not me, right? So, and I says, hey, listen, like, if you want to get on a call, I can't, this isn't something we do via text,
Yeah.
okay? You want to get on a call or whatever, I can help you work through if there's something specific you want to work through, or just be some motivational advice or whatever. That was the first message. I got that a year and a half ago at this point. And so that was like, okay, there's something different here, right? And that's where everything kind of came together for me in terms of social media not being real. How do you now what is my responsibility in this? So you put all this outreach out there. Now there's another aspect of responsibility that comes with that. But it's all good stuff.
Man, it's about people. We talked about
and that's
this.
where, like, you're doing coaching. I have a mentorship that we're doing for business. Very similar stuff, business, life. Kind of we meet you where you are. In other words, I'm dealing with business owners that have been in business for.
Yeah, I saw you do one thing. I think it was in North Reading, one of the businesses.
For lobster.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. Victor came on as a client. Been working with him on the business side.
That's awesome.
We work with on the mentorship side with people that have no experience. They're just at a job and they're looking to try to help grow and
do something else.
whether it's acquisitions on real estate. And we stay in our lane. Like, I know franchises, I know business, and I know real estate. Right? Don't ask me about anything else.
No,
I'll guide you in the right way to the right person. But
Yeah.
I like to stay in my lane, and I'm open to saying, if I can't help you with that, I'm not going to try.
Right.
Right.
Because it's like, a lawyer that doesn't practice X law and tries to do it.
it.
You got to go with what you know and then refer them to someone that does,
Yeah, and get them to a place where they can
Exactly.
they can continue whatever they're trying to continue. So.
This was the fastest hour ever. So in closing, I got a little test for you. All right. So here's the test. So
I told you I never liked tests in school, right?
oh, that's right. No, this is not the
But
traditional.
the good thing is I never studied anyway, so I'll be
the
okay.
C. You got the C. There's not the traditional test. So when we talk about black belt attitude, black belt mindset, what are the principles of a black belt? We talk, and we said it at the inception of the show is, grit, perseverance, falling down, getting back up, the team, the lack of that ego, the ability to adapt and change, whether it be COVID happens, as businesses shut down, whatever, all of those things, right? So that those are a bunch of different things, and there's so many more, right? Looking out to the youth of today, from your perspective, what advice would you give to someone that is younger and starting to grow up, whether they be in high school or in college? What advice would you give them if they were looking to become an entrepreneur or be an entrepreneur? And that's just a general term. What advice could you give? Because I really see your mentorship. I know you're doing it for businesses and stuff like that, but now that we've had this discussion, I really see that, you could mentor the younger kids too, as a way of giving back. I think you have such a great skill set as a young man. What advice would you give them? Like,
Well, thank you for that compliment.
you're welcome.
3 words: you versus you. And I say that in today's world of social media, reality. Everyone is comparing themselves to something else, to someplace else. It's you versus you. And I take that by heart because that's, I joke with my dad all the time. I said, I wake up, Dad, obviously thankful that I woke up.
Yeah.
But I always say I have nothing. I have nothing. I woke up today with a blank slate. It's me versus me. Whatever I'm going to do today, I'm either my own worst enemy,
Yep.
or I'm my greatest advocate. So, and I think that is very important today. It's you versus you. Stop looking to your left. Stop looking to your right. Stay focused on you, your goals, your skills, your adaptability, your growth. You will become who you're supposed to become.
Or who you want to come.
Or who you want to become.
Right.
And a good photo comes to my memory. I think it was Michael Phelps when he was winning.
Swimmer, yeah.
Yeah, when he was winning his like 7th gold medal, whatever it is, in the Olympics. And there's a classic photo of him head down, and I forget the opponent that was next to him, looking. He was looking to see where Michael Phelps was. Google it, you'll see it.
I remember it.
And that always stuck with me is just focus in on you.
Focus
Stop
on you
looking
and
at-
stop looking at everyone
Stop
else.
looking at everybody else, because what's going to happen is you're going to have the comparison effect really start to affect you.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not good enough. That's when all the negative talk. I'm
And
not good enough.
inferiority.
Look at Paul over there. Look at Sally over here. Oh, she's doing that. Oh, I wish I could do that. Well, look at that car they have. Look at that business.
Yep.
That will destroy you before you even step foot.
Great advice.
In the building. So
Great advice.
you versus you.
Love it. I love it. I love
That's
it.
where I would start.
Great story. We only touched upon the outer layers of what I know you've done and what you're gonna do and what you're doing. So I hope you'll consider coming back on the show.
Absolutely.
I love
No, I love
having
this.
you,
Yeah.
and I hope you will join in and follow these, like yourself, these great
Well, I hope
entrepreneurs.
I passed the black belt mentality test
You
today. So
pass with flying colors. Chris, thank you
Yeah, I
so
appreciate it.
much, and
This was
honored
great.
for having you on your show. Thank you, everybody.